Imagine for a second that you're a newlywed.
Okay.
You've been married for exactly 6 months, and you are hopelessly, just terrifyingly lost in this blinding whiteout blizzard in Westchester.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Right, like you can barely see the hood of your own car. And you and your spouse finally manage to find shelter. You break into this sprawling, cathedral-like estate.
Just trying to survive the storm.
Exactly. But there's a huge catch. The house has been abandoned for 3 years.
Okay, spooky.
Yeah, and its former owner, who was this very famous, highly controversial psychiatrist, well, she vanished without a single trace.
Wow.
And as you're just trying to get warm in this freezing house, you stumble upon a hidden room. And it is filled with thousands of her private, color-coded therapy recordings.
Oh, man. I mean, it is the ultimate locked room scenario, right?
It really is.
But what makes it so intensely claustrophobic is that this locked room isn't just physically isolated by the storm.
Right.
It's literally a psychological vault, just packed with other people's darkest, most destructive secrets.
Which brings us to today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We are unpacking the secrets of Dr. Adrienne Hale, diving deep into excerpts from Freida McFadden's psychological thriller, Never Lie.
It's quite the ride.
It's wild. Our mission today is to guide you through an absolute labyrinth of deception. The narrative splits between the past and the present, and it systematically peels back the layers to reveal that absolutely no one in this house is who they seem to be.
No one. I mean, we're really looking at the terrifying anatomy of lies here. And, you know, what happens when master manipulators find themselves trapped in the exact same room.
Yeah, let's get right into the psychology of this setup, because we start in the present day with our newlyweds, Trisha and Ethan.
Right in the blizzard.
Right. They are driving to view this remote house. The snow is just dumping down, and they are totally lost.
Yeah.
Ethan is driving, and we immediately get this chilling glimpse into his psychological makeup.
Yeah, the 10% thing.
Yes. So Trisha tells us that 90% of the time he is the perfect doting husband. But the other 10%.
He has this terrifying stubborn streak.
Exactly. A literal vein bulges in his neck when he refuses to admit they missed a turn.
I mean, he would rather drive them into a ditch than admit a mistake.
Totally. And on top of that, Trisha is secretly pregnant, and she hasn't told him yet.
Oh, which just adds this massive layer of hidden vulnerability.
Exactly. So they eventually get stuck and are forced to break into this freezing pitch black house just to survive.
And we really have to look at the atmosphere of this house as like an active participant in their psychological unraveling.
It feels alive, doesn't it?
It does. The isolation of the blizzard acts as a pressure cooker. When you are stripped of your cell service, your routine, your external validation, I mean, the mind is forced entirely inward.
And the house itself is just museum level, enormous.
Thick with cobwebs.
Yeah, layers of dust on incredibly expensive leather furniture. But the focal point of all this tension is the portrait.
Oh, hanging over the mantle.
Yes, that massive painting of Dr. Adrienne Hale. It's not just creepy, it operates like a panopticon.
That's a great way to put it.
She has these piercing, vivid green eyes that Trisha feels are constantly tracking her across the room.
It makes the missing doctor feel like an active, judging participant in the space.
Even in her absence, Dr. Hale is completely dominating the environment.
Exactly. It creates this baseline of paranoia. You know, you are completely alone, but your brain registers that you are being watched.
It's incredibly unsettling. So Ethan goes upstairs to shower and change, and Trisha, kind of seeking an escape from that panoptic stare, starts snooping around Dr. Hale's office downstairs.
Naturally.
Right. She notices a subtle disruption in the dust patterns on the floorboards, and she follows it to a massive bookcase, pulls on a copy of Stephen King's The Shining.
Which is such a brilliant little nod to cabin fever and madness, by the way.
Oh, totally. And click, the bookcase swings open.
And there it is.
She finds a hidden, windowless room, completely packed with cassette tapes. Years and years of Dr. Hale's private patient sessions.
And if we look at the psychology of why Trisha decides to start playing these tapes, it really comes down to displacement.
Displacement.
Yeah, because the extreme isolation of the blizzard is stripping away her defenses.
Right.
She's freezing, she's dealing with that secret pregnancy she hasn't told her volatile husband about yet, and she's feeling entirely powerless.
So she needs an escape.
Exactly. Finding those tapes shifts her from a passive victim of the storm to an active investigator of the past.
Oh, that makes sense.
Curiosity, especially in a highly stressed state, is actually a survival mechanism. She needs to feel in control of a narrative, even if it's someone else's.
Wait, I have to push back here for a second.
Sure.
I mean, it's like opening Pandora's box, right? Why can't people in thrillers just sit on the couch and wait for the snowplow?
Right, just read a magazine.
Exactly. If you find a secret room belonging to a missing person, isn't the best move to literally look the other way?
Logically, yes. But psychologically, like we said, the house is a pressure cooker. Instead of dealing with her own terrifying reality, she basically self-medicates with someone else's trauma.
She needs a distraction from that bulging vein in her husband's neck.
Precisely. So she dives into the past.
And she grabs a tape, pops it into a dusty player, and we are transported back to meet the woman from the portrait, Dr. Adrienne Hale.
And Dr. Hale is a brilliant case study in narcissistic grandiosity.
Oh, completely.
She is cold, highly successful, and just completely arrogant. I mean, she's the best-selling author of this pop psychology book called The Anatomy of Fear.
And her core guiding philosophy, I mean, literally the very first line of her book is, everybody lies.
Everybody lies. And she fully believes she is the ultimate human lie detector.
Right. She claims she can always spot the physiological tells of deception.
The micro-fidgeting, the vocal pitch changes, the crossed legs.
She thinks her intellect makes her immune to being manipulated.
But that massive ego collides head-on with a patient identified on the tapes as E.J. Edward Jameson.
EJ, he's a piece of work.
E.J. is diagnosed by Dr. Hale with narcissistic personality disorder.
Takes one to know one, maybe.
Right. But he's deeply entitled, highly manipulative, and completely devoid of empathy.
And Dr. Hale actually plans to drop him as a patient, right? Because his mom cut him off and stopped paying his exorbitant therapy bills.
Exactly. But EJ flips the power dynamic completely.
He totally traps her.
Yeah.
Because on the tapes, we discovered that the great Dr. Adrienne Hale has a serious dark side.
A very dark side.
She was running late for her volunteer clinic in the Bronx, and someone stole her parking spot.
Oh boy.
And in a fit of primal, just unhinged road rage, she pulls a knife out of her designer purse and slashes the guy's tire.
Which is wild for a renowned psychiatrist.
Right.
Yeah.
And just by sheer horrific coincidence, EJ happens to be walking by, and he films the entire meltdown on his phone.
This is the critical inciting incident for the past timeline, because blackmail is fundamentally about the transfer of power.
He has her.
He leverages this video to entirely subvert the doctor-patient hierarchy. If the video of a best-selling, seemingly perfectly composed psychiatrist acting like a violent vandal goes public.
Her lucrative career is incinerated.
Exactly. So he starts small, he demands free therapy sessions.
Then he tests the boundaries further.
Right, he starts demanding illicit prescriptions for narcotic painkillers, specifically oxycodone.
And eventually, his demands become explicitly sexual. He attempts to physically force himself on her in her own office.
The transcripts of these tapes are just agonizing to listen to. The sense of a trap closing is palpable.
But here's where the psychology gets genuinely fascinating to me. Adrienne tries to hide behind her own academic expertise to justify what she decides to do next.
Oh, the Milgram experiment.
Yes.
Yeah.
She specifically references the famous Milgram experiment.
Yeah.
You probably know Milgram, the 1960s study where subjects administered what they thought were lethal electric shocks to actors simply because a man in a lab coat told them to.
Right, obeying authority.
Adrienne uses this to claim that anyone is capable of terrible things if pushed. But wait, she completely misapplies it.
How so?
Milgram was about submitting to an authority figure. Adrienne isn't submitting to anyone. She is the authority figure.
That's a great point.
Is she actually proving a profound psychological truth here? Or is she just a massive hypocrite using a Psych 101 textbook to intellectualize her own violent criminal impulses?
I validate that pushback 100%. What you are identifying is a massive textbook case of cognitive dissonance. Adrienne's brain physically cannot tolerate seeing itself as the villain. She has built her entire identity around being this civilized, untouchable healer who is, above the fray of normal human weakness.
But then she slashes a tire.
Right. When she slashes that tire, when she realizes she wants to destroy EJ, that self-image shatters.
So she has to rewrite reality.
Exactly. Highly intelligent people will use complex intellectual frameworks, like citing the Milgram experiment, to maintain their self-image as a good person.
She isn't trying to understand human nature at all.
No, she is building a permission structure to cross a severe moral line. She rationalizes her transition from healer to predator.
And that same desperate need to rewrite reality is exactly what she applies to her next problem. Because Adrienne decides she has to eliminate EJ to survive, but her grandiosity prevents her from getting her own hands dirty.
She won't do the dirty work herself.
Right. Which brings us to another set of tapes Trisha finds in that freezing, dusty office. The PL tapes.
PL Patricia Lawton.
Patricia Lawton. She is the star patient featured in Dr. Hale's best-selling book.
Yeah.
And PL's backstory is the stuff of true crime nightmares.
It really is.
She claims she was vacationing at a remote cabin with her fiancé Cody and her two best friends, Alexis and Marcus.
And then the unthinkable happens.
Right. According to PL, a random maniac broke in, slashed their car tires to trap them, and systematically murdered her fiancé and her friends.
And she barely survived.
She claims she only survived by playing dead after sustaining a superficial stab wound.
It's the ultimate victim narrative. But as Adrienne sits there, listening to PL recount this gruesome trauma week after week, she notices a neurological leakage of anxiety.
The tell.
Yes, PL has a tell. Whenever PL lies, she unconsciously crosses her right leg over her left.
And Adrienne, utilizing that famous observation skill, notices PL crosses her legs at very specific moments in the story.
Exactly. Adrienne puts the pieces together and figures out the massive twist of the past timeline.
Which is just, it's crazy. Adrienne deduces that PL entirely fabricated the cabin massacre.
There was no random maniac.
PL is the killer.
Yep. Adrienne figures out that Cody was cheating on PL with her best friend, Alexis.
So PL snapped. She murdered all three of them, gave herself a minor stab wound to play the victim, and played the grieving, traumatized survivor for 3 years.
She fooled the police, she fooled the media, everyone.
But she didn't fool Dr. Hale.
Now, a normal psychiatrist or just a normal human being would immediately go to the authorities with this deduction.
Oh, absolutely.
But remember Adrienne's cognitive dissonance. She views herself as the apex predator who controls her environment.
So she sees an opportunity.
She does. She decides to launch a blackmail counterattack. She basically tells PL, I know what you did, and I will hand you over to the police unless you do exactly what I tell you to do.
Which is absolutely staggering. I mean, it's the ultimate corruption of doctor-patient confidentiality.
It really is.
You have a licensed psychiatrist diagnosing a literal remorseless serial killer, and instead of having her arrested, she decides to use her as a personal hitman.
Adrienne operates like a retrovirus here. She doesn't attack EJ directly. She injects her toxic agenda into PL's existing pathology.
Turning her patient psychopathy into a weapon for her own immune defense.
Exactly. She forces PL to drug EJ, tie him up, put a heavy bag over his head, and deliver him in the dead of night right to her office.
And then Adrienne, the esteemed author and healer, commits the final act herself.
She does.
She takes EJ, who is bound, drugged, and completely helpless, and locks him inside a hidden compartment beneath the floorboards of her office.
Under the floor.
And she meticulously seals the edges of the floorboards with duct tape, slowly suffocating him to death over hours.
It all comes back to her core flaw, right? The illusion of control.
Yes.
She fundamentally believes she is the puppet master, but you cannot domesticate a psychopath.
No, you can't.
By inviting a true, remorseless killer into her criminal conspiracy, Adrienne mistakenly believes she has put a leash on a shark. She seals her own fate because she assumes she is the smartest monster in the room.
Which brings us crashing directly back into the consequences of that arrogance in the present day.
Because Trisha and Ethan are still there.
Right. They're still trapped in this freezing house. And they start moving furniture around to block the drafts, and they actually uncover that hidden compartment under the floorboards.
Oh no.
Ethan rips the wood up, and they are hit with the smell. They find EJ's mummified, rotting corpse.
It is a horrifying discovery that instantly shatters any illusion Trisha and Ethan had that they were just weathering a storm in an ordinary abandoned house.
The past has physically rotted into the present.
And it somehow gets worse.
It does. Because they also discover they aren't alone in the house. There is a man squatting in the upper levels.
Luke Strauss.
Right. It's Luke Strauss. He was Adrienne's former IT guy and her boyfriend at the time she vanished.
He is the guy the media entirely framed for her disappearance 3 years ago.
His life was destroyed by the accusations, and he has been living in the attic like a ghost, completely broken, just hiding from a world that thinks he is a murderer.
So consider the psychological chessboard right now in a present timeline. You have Trisha, Ethan, Luke the scapegoat, and the corpse of EJ.
It's all coming together.
This is the exact moment where all the narrative layers, the past papes, the present fears, collapse into a single point of singularity.
This is the moment I actually had to put the source material down and just stare at the wall.
It's a massive twist.
Because we finally get the ultimate reality-breaking secret. Trisha, our relatable, vulnerable, pregnant, freezing, newlywed narrator. Trisha is Patricia Lawton. Trisha is PL.
It completely reframes every single word of the deep dive up to this point.
Every single word.
Every observation Trisha made about the house, every moment of fear she expressed about the storm. It wasn't the fear of an innocent bystander trapped in a creepy situation. It was the highly calculated fear of a serial killer worrying about covering her tracks.
She is the serial killer from the cabin. And she is the one who murdered Dr. Adrian Hale.
Yep.
After PL delivered EJ to the office, she realized Adrian was a massive loose end. Adrian knew about the cabin.
So PL tied up that loose end.
She killed her psychiatrist, buried Adrian's body 2 hours away in a shallow grave, dyed her hair, and assumed the new identity of Trisha.
She didn't get lost in the blizzard by accident, did she?
No. She intentionally navigated them to this house during the storm, specifically to find those tapes and to locate EJ's body so she could destroy the evidence before the bank foreclosed on the property.
It flips the dynamic of the opening scene entirely. She was never a victim of the blizzard. She orchestrated the isolation. She needed the house empty.
That's brilliant.
But the truly brilliant structural symmetry of McFadden's writing here is that Trisha isn't the only one wearing a complex psychological mask in this marriage.
Exactly. Think back to Ethan's scary 10% personality. The bulging vein in his neck when he refuses to admit fault.
Right.
Those weren't just quirks of a stubborn husband. Those were micro-expressions of his own suppressed sociopathy.
Yep.
Trisha goes downstairs and catches Ethan in front of the fireplace, urgently burning a very specific set of tapes. Tapes labeled GW Gail Wiley.
And Gail Wiley was a deeply paranoid patient of Adrian's who suffered from severe delusions that her son was trying to murder her for a life insurance payout.
But they weren't delusions. Her son is Ethan. Ethan confesses to Trisha right there, illuminated by the firelight of the burning tapes. He violently pushed his own mother down a flight of stairs to get the insurance payout to save his failing tech startup.
Unbelievable.
That's why he was so incredibly eager to come view the specific house in a blizzard. He recognized the address. He wanted to find his dead mother's therapy tapes and burn his only connection to the psychiatrist.
So you have these two apex predators who have entirely unknowingly married each other.
Right.
They've been sleeping in the same bed or wearing perfectly crafted masks of normalcy. And in a typical thriller, this is the inevitable moment they turn on each other.
Exactly. Two killers trapped in a house. It usually becomes a bloody fight for survival.
But they don't fight.
No, they don't. And that is what is so deeply disturbing. Instead of turning on each other in horror, they bond over their shared darkness.
It's twisted.
They have this incredibly twisted, profound moment of marital connection. Ethan basically looks at her and says, "You killed 6 people. I killed my mom. We're perfect for each other."
Match made in hell.
And to seal the deal, Ethan walks over and slashes Luke's throat.
Poor Luke.
They murder the poor IT guy and frame him for absolutely everything. Adrian's murder, EJ's murder. They literally tie up all their loose ends with an innocent man's blood.
It is a deeply cynical, unsettling resolution. The narrative jumps forward 2 years.
To the happy ending, quote unquote.
Right. Trisha and Ethan have officially bought Adrian's sprawling estate. They have a beautiful baby girl named Delilah. It is the ultimate picture-perfect suburban dream.
Sure looks like it on the outside.
Ethan is out there playing with his daughter on the lush, immaculate green grass of their garden. But the horrifying irony that you're left with is that the grass is only growing so perfectly because it is being fertilized by the decomposing bodies of Luke and EJ, who Trisha and Ethan buried directly underneath the lawn.
It's sickening, but you absolutely cannot look away. It's a complete subversion of the genre.
It subverts the trope because Trisha and Ethan didn't just survive a house of horrors, they are the monsters in the house. Evil doesn't just win in this story. It settles down in the suburbs, joins the PTA, and grows a perfect lawn.
It really forces you to rethink the nature of human connection. And, let's circle all the way back to the very beginning. The source material actually opens with Dr. Adrian Hale talking about a psychological experiment to prove her cynical philosophy that everybody lies.
Oh, the vending machine experiment.
Yes. It involved a broken vending machine in a public space. The machine gave out free candy bars, but it also returned your dollar.
Okay.
And there was a highly visible sign right on the machine asking people to call a specific number to report the malfunction so it could be fixed.
And the result of the experiment was that out of dozens and dozens of subjects, 0 people called the number.
0.
Everyone, regardless of their background, took their free candy, pocketed their stolen dollar, and walked away in silence. It establishes a grim baseline of human deception that permeates every single interaction in the narrative.
Everybody lies. From the tiny, seemingly victimless theft of a candy bar to covering up a brutal cabin massacre.
It scales up pretty fast.
But it makes you wonder about a concept psychologists call assortative mating.
Ah, yes. Assortative mating is the tendency for people to subconsciously seek out and mate with individuals who have similar physical or psychological traits.
Like attracts?
Right. In the context of personality disorders, we sometimes see people with dark triad traits, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy magnetically drawn to one another.
They can sense it.
Exactly. They can sense the mask on the other person, even if they don't know exactly what hides behind it.
Which begs a truly chilling question about human nature. What does it say about us that the most honest, purely authentic moment in Trisha and Ethan's entire relationship
The singular moment they truly see and accept each other without any masks.
is the moment they look across a fire and confess to multiple homicides? Were they soulmates because of their virtues? Or did their shared darkness subconsciously pull them together long before they knew the truth?
It suggests that sometimes the monsters don't just hide under the bed. Sometimes they find each other, fall in love, and move in next door.
Exactly. It leaves you with this lingering thought to mull over. The next time you drive through a beautiful, manicured neighborhood and you see a happy, smiling couple playing with their kid on a perfect, lush, green lawn,
You really have to wonder.
you really have to wonder exactly what kind of secrets are buried in the dirt underneath.
A haunting reality to consider.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the labyrinth of Never Lie. We'll see you next time.